let's get started. I want to welcome everyone to your Smart Manager webinar, the real value of an EAP, because we're more than just interested in money. We want to make sure that you get a good return on your investment, but we also want to talk about the people aspect and make sure that we're taking care of our employees. I'm your host, Matt Pambid, and joining me today, we have Rebecca Strauss and Megan Ulrich. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us today, Matt.
Both members of the account services team. And folks, you may have noticed that you've been muted and your cameras are turned off, but we still want to hear from you. So if you have questions, you can type them in that question and answer dialog box, and we'll do our best to answer them as we go along. You don't need to wait till the end. We'll answer them as we go along. So imagine, you're working at your job, and like any other place, there might be challenges that they're going through, or maybe there's a promotion on the horizon. How can you distinguish yourself amongst your coworkers? How can you show your company that you bring value, that you know how to squeeze every dollar out of the resources available to you? We have some ideas for you, and we're going to tell them in storytell. And we'll start with a coworker conflict, because we've all experienced this, right? How many times have we seen you have a really good employee? He's maybe been there forever. We have Greg and Marcia there. And Greg has been there forever. And he's at the top of his game, but he's kind of a jerk. He does not get along with other people. He causes tension, and it's disruptive. And he's been getting away with this forever. So it's kind of hard to go in and start setting limits with Greg, because he's going to say, where is this coming from? I've been doing this forever. We don't want to lose him, right? Because he's one of our very best. But along comes Marcia, and come to find out, she's pretty solid competition for Greg. She holds her own, and she's doing pretty well herself, but she is coming into conflict with Greg's stubbornness and his unwillingness to share. So let's turn to Rebecca as we examine what a smart manager might do in a situation like this. And we'll also take a look at what happens when the smart less manager doesn't do these great things. Rebecca, what's some good ideas for the smart manager?
Yeah, so this is definitely a difficult situation for you being the smart manager. One place that you could start is giving your account manager a call. And that very well could be any three of us, me, Matt, or Megan, being a part of the account management team. And we're really there to help support you through this, so that way you feel confident and having these difficult conversations with Greg and Marcia, because you're probably going to be met with a little bit of resistance, especially from Greg, but you want to retain Marcia. You want her to stay around too. So you got to have that conversation with her as well. And we can start with getting you some really good resources, and, referencing some materials that we have. We could also role play a conversation. How are you going to handle that? What are you going to say? And, if there is some resistance, what are you going to do to overcome that? And certainly, we want to get Greg on the right track. We want to kind of point him in the right direction, so that way we can get the department all together, the morale kind of hopefully boosted a little bit, and make sure that Marcia sticks around and feels welcome. We don't want her going anywhere. So let's develop some goals, some very specific goals for Greg. And maybe that includes some coaching. So maybe he needs some SMART goals, some achievable, some very precise steps for him to follow. So that way he can get from point A to point B. Because one place that resistance is found is when there's things that are unclear. So we want to make it as clear as possible for him. And maybe that's a PIP, and we can definitely talk through that. And maybe we've tried all these things. We've gone through each of the different points and we're kind of still not getting to where we want to be with Greg. You have the formal referral as a tool that is available to you as well. So this is really meant to kind of help someone who has this kind of personal problem like Greg has, where he's just not very team oriented, difficult to communicate with. That therapist is going to be able to help him kind of see how his behavior and communication style is impacting the team and where he can make changes. And one really good piece of the formal that benefits you is that you get updates from it. So you know kind of what recommendations are made and if Greg is compliant with the process. So there are a lot of tools that you can use as the smart manager to kind of just resolve this issue, if you will. And things like that have costs associated with them. So what would that break down to? I'm just curious.
Right. Well, so we've all been at the restaurant before, right? And if you're not paying attention, you get that bill at the end, and sometimes it can be a shocker, and we don't want to be shocked at the end of this. So we'll try to keep tabs as we're going along. And for these great ideas that Rebecca has laid out, what did we come up with? 0. If you have the Life Advisor EAP, all of those things that Rebecca mentioned are free of charge. They're part of your Life Advisor EAP. By the way, Rebecca, so if somebody wanted to engage in coaching or refer someone to coaching or talk about a formal, what's step number 1? What would they do?
Call us. So call your account manager and we can help guide you through all the resources that are available.
Thank you. So those are some great ideas, but let's also take a look at what happens if you don't do those things. There are consequences. Megan, can you tell us about the Smart Less manager?
Absolutely. So in our scenario here, the Smart Less manager did not use their resources with Ulliance and how we can Life Advisor EAP and how we can help there. So we get the scenario where, as a consequence of this action or non-action, Marsha's going to quit. She could quit, and she was a loss of a great talent. And then morale starts to drop in the office space because Marsha was well liked amongst the people, and they knew she was doing a great job. Then their morale starts to lower, and maybe we could then look at the productivity. What would happen with the productivity if everyone's morale is down? Well, this is when we start getting into not meeting our departmental goals, not meeting deadlines on projects, not meeting our KPIs. And then we start to feel that heat from everywhere in the workspace, and we start seeing some more turnovers. So other employees considered leaving because Marsha left and she's going to do fine. So that gives them that motivation to maybe look elsewhere for a job. And then for you as the Smart Less manager, if that were to happen, then we would be looking at reposting, rehiring, interviewing, retraining, all of those things that come with a new hire. And that's a lot of work on you. And so and then maybe through all of this turnover and all of these people coming new, leaving, maybe then we start seeing a hostile work environment, and then we maybe get slapped with a hostile work environment lawsuit. So Matt, how much would that cost with all of those things that I, kind of put out there? What do you
Let's
think?
take a look. So yeah, if you ignore all of Rebecca's great ideas and are negligent, look what could happen. And where we got these figures from is we're assuming that it's a company that's around $1 million. And we asked ChatGPT how much this stuff would cost. So is this science? No, but we wanted to give you an idea, right? So, you've all experienced this. Getting rid of Marcia, that might cost about $20,000. The drop in morale, because that's going to be more than just one person, that's going to be the whole team. Perhaps it's going to spread to the whole company, around $50,000. The decrease in productivity, that could be your huge cost there, $100,000. Rehiring, retraining, 20,000, and settling a lawsuit could be 50,000 for a total of $240,000. Ouch. But as I said at the beginning of this webinar, we are not only interested in the money aspect, we want to make sure that our people are being taken care of. We care about these people. A lot of them are our friends. So what are some of those unquantifiable losses, those can't put a dollar sign on losses?
Yeah, and certainly being in the mental health field, this is the piece that we as account managers kind of feel the most. And this is something that you can't put a dollar amount to, but you can feel in your employees and your staff and just the whole morale of your team. A loss could definitely be employee engagement. So you have staff that's more distracted at work. They're not as engaged. Like if you have a company picnic going up or coming up and all of a sudden, a bunch of people have decided to not come, that's a red flag that something's going on. You can also feel that loss of trust. So if employees used to come to you and kind of feel open and comfortable talking about problems in the workplace, that might go down. And, them not reporting those concerns are definitely going to pile up for you. And of course, we lose that nice little warm and fuzzy feeling that Marcia brought to the workplace. She was a unique individual, and it's a real bummer to everyone that she's gone. And of course, we want to think, on a big global scale as well. Marcia might kind of be upset when she leaves, and maybe we see bad reviews on Glassdoor, bad reviews on Indeed, and that's costing you quality candidates that might apply for that open position or other positions you have at your company. So we want to definitely try our best to avoid this and use those tools available to you as the smart manager.
Right. Once you lose that reputation, you can't throw money at that problem and have that resolved. So let's say a couple months goes by. We take care of the Marshall debacle. We think we've kind of, caught our breath, but then tragedy strikes. Let's say there's a domestic violence situation going on that spills into the workplace. Maybe the boyfriend of somebody that works there threatens to come to work and shoot up the place, and everyone knows about it. Not only is that distressing for the employee, but for everyone. And not only that, we don't know what their prior experience was or how this might trigger them. So there is a whole menu of things that could be going on because of this. Let's take a look again at what a smart manager might be able to do to stave off some of these costly consequences.
I'm glad you brought that up, Matt. That could definitely affect me in the workplace. I know that if one of my coworkers' boyfriends came in and then threatened to shoot up the place, I think my feelings there would be unsafe. And so thinking about that, then our first step here is, of course, to call us here at Ulliance with the 800 number to consult with your account manager. You can work with me, Rebecca, Matt, or any of our great account managers to review the safety plan. How is security? We can help you develop that safety plan as well, which includes little things that when we're having those high emotions, because you're in that workplace as well, we're here to help you and aid you along with your duties here and also your personal safety as well. We will maybe refer the employee to counseling or resources for domestic violence. At Ulliance Life Advisor EAP, we have so many resources out there to give you, and not calling us would mean you wouldn't be able to have them just sent to your email, because I usually send you a nice big chunky email with all of the resources possible that I could think of for your personal situation. And let's say that Now it's spilling over into the larger workforce, and you're starting to notice that most people have been affected by this, or maybe just like a small group of people, 10 or so, are just very affected by this. In this instance, if you give us a call, we're going to help you set up a CISM or a CISD, which is a critical incident stress debriefing or management service that we offer here, where we do come out there with the people to process the events, to look at our self care, to look at different coping skills that we could use in this situation. And then we offer the one to one, which is one to one self support that you can utilize afterwards. You just have to let us know that you want some time after the CISD, and we will make that time for you. Um, no matter what time of day, we're going to get you the help that you need and the help that your employees need, which create that environment of safety for the employees, that yes, you are doing something for it about it. Yes, you are taking care of more than just the bottom line. And that's what people are looking for in the workforce. And then we help you plan for the future. We say is, do we need to maybe get some trainings? And how can we increase safety? How can we measure how our workforce is feeling once in a while? So what would that cost us, Matt, how much would a CISD cost? Because I know it varies sometimes.
Well, one thing that, yeah, we would like to make a point of is that most people who have the Life Advisor EAP have these CISM, these critical incident stress debriefings, as part of your EAP. There are a minority, just a few people that maybe it is not, and that it would be a fee for service. And if you're unsure, I would encourage you to call your account manager to look into that. It's a great service. It helps prevent post-traumatic stress syndrome, for example. But yeah, let's talk about that. How much would all that cost? Absolutely nothing. This is all part of your Life Advisor EAP. Now, let's talk about that smart challenge manager who doesn't do these things. And there are negative consequences for that, including what, Rebecca?
Yeah, so there's a lot. So the smart manager being you did all the wonderful things that Ulliance offers, but this other manager, a different manager, didn't, let's say. And, ultimately, if you're not taking the steps to make sure that your employees feel safe, they're going to feel unsafe. So if you're not providing the things that make it a safe and comfortable work environment, employees are going to feel uncomfortable, especially the employee that is impacted or is in the domestic violence situation. We may see her or him taking more time off work, may have really erratic performance with this. So they could be a very high performer one week and then a low performer the next week, or even preoccupied. So they're on their phone in meetings, or they're taking more calls, personal calls during work times. So you can kind of feel that as a manager or in the HR team. And that, that's an impact. You see those red flags. Another thing that could be impacted is your increase in medical costs. So certainly that employee could be visiting the doctor more often, having some different medication costs associated with that. And certainly if you haven't taken the steps to secure the work environment for a safe environment, if you have staff that do struggle maybe with anxiety, that could increase for them. They could feel that a little bit more, and then they're going to the doctor and they're charging things to the insurance, when if you kind of created that environment, this might not occur. The other thing that we want to talk about is the legal side of this. So you want to make sure that you're doing everything you possibly can to avoid any type of legal situation in this scenario. And certainly if the steps aren't followed to have a safe work environment, there's definitely a question of a lawsuit or policy and procedures to come into question here. And certainly if employees don't feel safe and they are uncomfortable at work, there's the possibility for turnover. So again, we're venturing into the realm of having to rehire and retrain, and that has a huge hit to the company's profit.
And these are suggestions that we're offering you, but I'd love to hear from the audience too. Are there other things that we're missing that would cost, whether it's a financial cost or a cost to your employees, to the team? Let us know. You can just type them in that Q&A box, because we'd love to hear from you. And yeah, let's take a look at how much this could potentially cost as far as money. If you have to hire extra security for just 1 week, you're looking at maybe $2,000. Somebody is suggesting a loss of trust, right? Because when you hire into a place, you expect your employer to keep you safe. And if they're dropping the ball, not following through, then yeah, there would be that loss. Someone saying onboarding and orientation costs. Right. It's not just hiring somebody. Once they get in the door, we're done. There's a whole mess of stuff that goes along with that. Maybe you have to pay for their physical. Maybe there's psych testing that goes on before you hire them, depending on what the position is. It's more than just them walking through the front door. There's a lot of other costs involved. Thank you for that. And the disruption to the team. Everyone has to get used to this new person and gel. The drop in productivity, the medical costs. I love, Megan, that you mentioned that, it could just not only be the one individual. You don't know how many other people on the team are suddenly needing to go to see the doctor because they can't sleep at night, because they're having flashbacks about this potential gun situation. And now they're on sleeping pills or, relaxers or something like that. Legal and turnover, that's what we're talking about. But of course, not only just the money for like around $107,000 we're estimating, but also the people cost. And what are we talking about here?
Yeah, so the people cost is always something that we can't put that exact number on. But let's think about the psychological impact if there were an injury, if we didn't take this threat seriously, and then God forbid it happens, right? So that would be very tragic, but it does happen in the world. So, but how could, I don't know if I could carry that with me. So I'm going to encourage every one of you here listening today to please just give us a call, no matter how big, no matter how small, because I don't want you to live with that feeling of what if. And so we're here today to kind of help you with that. What if I had done nothing and now this individual has to quit work completely because they're overwhelmed by PTSD, this particular incident? We don't know how it works on everybody. So better to be safe than sorry here. So this also helps that perpetuated stigma that does exist in most spaces, is getting that psychological help. When we are saying that from above as managers in your position, hey, it's okay to call the EAP. Research is going to show that it is more likely that they'll call. I don't know where I'll get that research, but I know that it's there. That when we are hearing, there's the Milgram experiment, right? That we have the people from calling from above telling us that it's okay. It gives them that permission to call. And if we were able to go through all of these wonderful suggestions from Ulliance here, or just working together with somebody else and bouncing those ideas off, then we can work on that loss of trust that may happen. And also going back to how would we feel if we could have increased the trust, and now we're dealing with something even bigger, which is very low morale amongst the entire company. And then again, that damaged reputation that we can protect, that we are a safe environment to work for. You want to work for us. You want to come in our doors and get our paychecks because we're going to take care of you. And that's what we want to help you get that message out? Because I know you all care very deeply about all of your employees. And you want to do the best every time.
So our third story, let's see. Now we had the Marshall debacle that we took care of. And then a couple months go by, and then there was that domestic violence situation that spills into the workplace. Scary. And now maybe a couple months later, there's this presenteeism, right? Not absenteeism. That's when presenteeism when they actually show up, but they're kind of not really there. And maybe we have this guy named Lucas. And Lucas is a good employee. He's pretty solid, but you notice in the last week here, he's been showing up late. And when he does show up, he's been on his phone, and you can just tell there's something going on. And so the manager talks with Lucas to find out what's going on. And come to find out, he's worried about his dad. His dad down in Louisville, Kentucky, maybe needs some adult daycare. And because of this, he is preoccupied. And because of that, we know that he's more prone to accidents and making mistakes. So let's look and see what a smart manager could do to maybe better utilize the EAP that's available to them.
Megan, you mentioned that what if feeling. And one of the things I sincerely hope with you having the EAP provides is that, when you give an employee the 1-800 number, they have access to everything that they need to help resolve that particular issue or stressor. So just giving Lucas that phone number or wallet card or flyer, whatever you have on hand, he's able to call the EAP and get connected, maybe find some organizations, agencies in his dad's area that's able to help him. So in addition to that, probably a lot of your other employees are having some stressors going on right now too. So let's get you some updated promotions so we can, get other employees connected with the EAP to help resolve those issues as well. And always, it's a good kind of note just to schedule a refresher orientation. Get that information out in front of people as much as possible. So that way, when they do have a stressor or a thing pop up, the first thought is, I'm going to call the EAP. So that orientation can definitely help, get that information out.
And can you already guess where we're going with this? It doesn't cost you a thing. This is part of the Life Advisor EAP. And if you have a not so smart manager, what could happen as a result? What are some of these consequences?
That not so smart manager does none of it. They don't even call us as the first step, which is the first step. And this situation with Lucas, that could interrupt that productivity of others. They see Lucas getting away with not working hard. Maybe they're going to start getting away with it too. And so that's going to start interrupting that productivity. There's that continued presenteeism, the loss of focus. Then what could happen when we're not focused on floor, for example, of a factory? We could have a workplace accident, which can lead to any number on the dollar signs here that could, depending on, is the equipment damaged? Do we have to pay for the medical bills? Do we have to do unemployment? Do we have to do workplace finances? So what if there's increased time off now from Lucas, maybe some FMLA, and that becomes a hardship on the team because we're missing someone. So yeah, how much would you think that would cost? Because I know we got a number, Matt. What is it?
And I think this is kind of crazy because it says accidents, an increase of accidents could cost upwards to 10,000. I'm thinking, I know some of the accidents that I've dealt with my companies, and it's like crashing a truck. That's going to be way more. Now, we have a recommend or a comment coming in. Someone says, I recommend to my groups to call Ulliance all the time, and it's improved participation for me to share my experience speaking with Ulliance counselors and how much it has helped to make them more comfortable. I love that idea. I also keep suggesting it when the same issue keeps arising for them, because it may take a month or two. Yes, very wise.
Yes.
It may take a month or two before they finally do it. Right. I mean, you have to show them that it's okay. And then you're kind of giving them permission, as it were, to use the EAP, that it's safe. And of course, it's not just the money. We want to also pay attention to the people. And if we're not going to do this stuff, that means they're not going to be using the EAP. If you're already paying for it, that's a loss. Not only that, people will suffer then. Why would we want to get in the way of people getting help? So let's not be part of the problem. It would impact employee well-being. It could help spread a negative workplace culture. Thank you, everyone, for these questions, these comments coming in. Oh, look what happens here, by the way. All totaled, the person who does nothing could cost upwards to $400,000 versus zero. And guess who gets the promotion? Smart managers get the promotion. That's what we're all about. I want to remind you that you have this life advisor available to you. So call and find out who your account manager is if you're not sure, and we'll be able to help you out. It's been my pleasure speaking with everyone today. I want to thank Megan and Rebecca sincerely for contributing to this conversation. Thank you.